Hi guys, this is vinneychopra and John Rusin, my co-host today. Alicia is a little bit under the weather, but no worries. We'll get the show on the road. I'm so excited to have a great friend of mine, great guest, a great personality in USA, and his name is Damion Lupo. Many of you know him. I would like to introduce him formally, and then we'll dig into his lot of other nice questions. Again, remember, this is the Syndication Made Easy live show. Oh, not live, but podcast. We do many shows. And, this is the podcast one that you'll be hearing about. And please click the link below to get to Damion Lupo and also to our other services that we provide. Damion Lupo's mission in life is very clear. I love that. To free 1 million people from financial bondage, That is the name of the game. His unique tool is a fusion of financial literacy and a little known strategy called the eQRP, Qualified Retirement Plan, as you all know. And that allows investors to control their financial future and get off the Wall Street roller coaster. Don't we want to do that? Definitely. He's the best-selling author of 12 books on personal finance, investment, and retirement planning. He hosts the Financial Underdogs podcast, has owned over 50 companies, more than 50 companies. I'm impressed. Damion, buddy.
Yeah, I saw his bio.
And
it's
he's
very
the founder of his own martial art, Aikido. Damion is the CCO of the eQRP company and is the lead architect of the eQRP registered trademark, the Ferrari of 401k. Registered trademark and the eQRP registered is a unique and powerful system to put individuals in command of their own investments, tapping into the $25 trillion. That's so true. Retirement funds and all locked away.
Trillion. I love that.
Retirement, retirement programs. Damion is also a professional investor with decades of real world experience that started with the purchase of his first rental using a Visa card advance, a movie that snowballed into 150 rental houses and so on. A move. In less than 5 years, in 2008, he lost everything, 20 million business, only to bounce back and recreate his wealth in 5 years. Welcome, Damion. I know, Alicia, you were in hospital, so
No, that wasn't the problem today. I broke my lighting when I was trying to put it up.
Oh my gosh. Don't worry about it. But we'll move on. We'll have John and Alicia join my co-partners. Let's stay together and let's go into Damion. Please, can you tell us a bit about your background, buddy? I know we've been friends, and I'm so glad that you chose to come on my show.
Thanks for having me. It's really great honor to be here. When you talk about my background, I think it's always a little startling when you hear somebody's had 50 companies and these different things, and that just means I'm willing to go and endure a lot of pain. Where 50 companies doesn't mean 50 success stories; it means a whole lot of lessons, and that's the key. I mean, that is the key to investing in business.
Like that.
It's Vinny, one of the things that I've learned over the years was that wealth is really not defined by cash or even cash flow. It's really about the growth that you get by doing the thing, because that can't be taken away from you. And I see a lot of people that I think are more in fear because they haven't spent time going out and tripping because they're afraid of the pain, or maybe that it'll kill them. And I just I went out there and just tried a lot and was willing to endure a lot of pain with those companies. And it was because I think for a while I just wanted to prove that I wasn't a loser. Like, it's really interesting. That was the beginning. And then after I lost all the money,
was it more like a risk versus reward?
It was, back then, all I was thinking was people look at me like I'm crazy. And I wanted to prove that otherwise. So it evolved, because the problem with doing that when you're trying to prove that is it's your ego. And my ego is driving the ship, which is why $20 million went away. And the universe gave me an opportunity to learn something. And the lesson was, you need to do this for other people. There has to be a bigger mission. And that's when it evolved into the million people being financially free without the financial shackles. And so that's the entire point of why I'm here on this planet now, is to break those shackles and help people learn to fish.
That is so great, Damion. I mean, same purpose, 14 years back, I was in single family home and I said, man, that's just one something, right? But the biggest thing revelation to me was my lot of friends, when I shared them, with them the idea about multifamily, they said, wow, we are busy in our own professions and everything. If there is a way that, they could get great returns. So helping people, what you just said, is so important in our life. I think the biggest thing somebody shared with me many years back was they wrote a big thesis about business plan and they wrote the whole thing. There was no mention of the customer or their needs. And the mentor threw it in the garbage. Literally, this happened. He took the plan. He said, you put so much time, so much effort. Yeah, and then it just goes into the trash. I said, oh my God. I mean, that has stuck with me so much that we are here to do the best for everybody around us, to uplift them, to take care of their, problems and, situations and all. If we help enough people get what they want, we'll get what we want. Like Zig Ziglar, our mentor, said,
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little bit background about, your real estate, and after, how did you jump back in? I mean, that's a big job.
That was one of my questions too. I'm sorry. You lost your butt in 2008. So what made you want to jump back in?
Well, here's the thing. One of the things that I realized when I lost everything is at the time, I didn't want to even talk real estate. I didn't want to look at real estate. When you have that much pain,
I get it. Yeah.
I basically held off, and it was because I had to recover, because my entire identity was tied up in those things. And it took time. There's a healing process when you get beat up. It's like somebody that's in a boxing match. They go to the hospital for a while, and then there's a healing. They don't go and fight the next day. And so for me to come back, it was a journey of reinvention. And that's actually one of the reasons that I wrote Reinvented Life about 8 years ago, was to talk about that process. And then once I healed and figured out a bigger purpose, I realized there was something that was more important than just me making more money. It was helping people. And I saw this, Vinny, with my dad when he retired, and he played by the rules. He did the Wall Street roller coaster, and he retired in his 60s, and he literally had like $50,000. And I thought, this game is rigged. Something is wrong. And I feel, it felt terrible. So it shifted, and I said, okay, what can I do to serve more people? Because you're right, Zig was right, that if you can figure out how to help people get what they want, all the other stuff, the money is a side effect. It comes in.
So true. So very true. No, definitely. So, again, Alicia wrote all the questions and John did. I appreciate them very much. How was your first investment with your Visa card? How did you do that?
I know that was one of my biggest questions. How did you take, okay, I have a very large, credit. I can pull out 40, 50, $60,000 on my Visa, but how did you have enough, excuse my French, but BALLS?
Honestly, the going back then, it was when you're the good news about being 20 is that you think you can build the Great Wall of China in a week. And so you think, oh, it's no problem. And I'm also invincible. So at the time when a friend of mine found this deal and he said, hey, I want to partner with you. And I said, why? I don't even know anything. He said, yeah, but you have money. And I said, I don't have money. But he goes, yeah, but you have a credit card. And so it was, I don't condone this, by the way. I don't say, hey, go take a cash advance on your credit card. What I will say is that it's being creative. I didn't have cash in the bank. What I looked at was my resources, and we all have resources. We have friends, we have networks. The greatest resource is our network. And so I took a cash advance and gave myself a chance. And that's really what it was. At that point, I was in because I had this house and I had the debt. And
Love it.
Most people don't realize that, and they don't know the story, that 4 months later, I almost went bankrupt because my belief systems I was self-sabotaging. And when I realized that I was about 30 days out from bankruptcy, I went out and bought 8 houses that month. So sometimes the reality, the truth, can get you going pretty fast.
So true. So very true. So very true. My gosh, let me also ask you about the 12 books that you wrote. So tell us a little bit more about it. It takes a lot of time. I mean, I wrote this book, took me 2 years. Apartment syndication made easy, and I'm writing another one. It takes time and effort. So please share how some young people who want to write some books, what kind of pointers you could give,
Well, I'm sure you did this with a similar intention to me, that you wanted to help more people. And because we often have the same conversations with a lot of people, if we write a book, we can speak to more people with that book. And so that was the reason I had this stuff that I wanted to share that people kept asking me for. It wasn't just my ego, and it wasn't your ego. It was literally your desire to serve people. And so the books become a way for us to communicate and serve more people. It's really interesting. A lot of school teachers are upset that they don't get paid more. And my question is, well, how could you serve more? And if you write a book, it's a lot of work and it serves a lot of people. And that's why I write the books, to clarify my thinking and sometimes to reinforce me the lessons that I've made, or the mistakes, and make sure I don't make the same ones again. So it helps to paper that. And I think it's a valuable tool for both us and for the reader, so that we can leverage off of the past and not repeat the dumb things that we do.
You're so right, Damion. I mean, I'm thinking about teaching is twice learning. I always have said that. And if we repeat ourselves again and again and teach more people and share the ideas, like you said, definitely they ingrain in our mindset so distinctly, and also help other people to understand the concepts. So true. So very true, how about the Ferrari? Share with us the 401k. I know that's your big, and I appreciate when you came into my mastermind coaching, taught so much to my students and everything. I really am in debt for that. Share with us, how can this be a better place,
Mm-hmm. Well, it's what's funny about the Ferrari is that the Ferrari is there's like two stories baked together, because back in 2005, when I thought I was Superman and invincible and had all this money because I'd made a bunch of money, obviously I had to go buy a Ferrari. So I bought a Ferrari, and it took me about a week to get pulled over and have a big event. And that wasn't very much fun because it was Christmas Eve. And so I've always had this thing about Ferraris. And what I realized is that it epitomizes something of quality and speed, and it's powerful. Like I almost died in my Ferrari. It took, a matter of days because I didn't have any training. So the eQRP is the Ferrari of 401ks because it has the power and it's the tool. And the point of that tool is to have a team, so you can use that tool for great things. And if you take that tool and you don't have any training, or you don't have the right team, then you've got a big problem. It's called, you're going to run into a wall. You're going to do something. So the Ferrari of 401ks is really giving people the keys and the training to be able to go out and take their vehicle, take their money to wherever they want to go. It's control of their future. It's a life by design, not by default. That's exactly what it means.
I love that. Love that.
You're a pretty common name now, the eQRP. How did you build the brand, and how did you structure that? So you've come up very quickly, so how did you build the brand? It's a great question. It's funny to have an overnight success story that took 20 years, what people generally don't see is all the airplane flights and all the work and the losses and the pain. It was really it was about working. And I know work is like a 4-letter word. People go, work, I don't want to work. And I go, well, how do you think you're going to make it? Well, I'm going to will the money to fall from the sky. And I go, stop watching The Secret, start getting off your butt, go do something. And I stayed off my butt and on my feet for years. And it was really, the bottom line is I was asking the question of myself, how can I serve people? And I wasn't going to them and saying, how can I serve you? I was finding problems and showing up and solving the problems. That is the key to success, period.
So true. So very true. So very true. I mean, if we are sitting in wherever we are, and we are saying, let me put together a product which I know what people want. That's not what they want. Right. You got to go from the bottom up, right? To the end in sight, like Stephen Covey says, right? Start with the end in sight. That's so important for us to really look at what is this, whatever we are trying to put together, how it's going to solve the problems. I mean, that's all it is, right? Yeah. That's the key. It's really asking yourself, like we recently set up a hedge fund. And the question that I asked myself every time I had a conversation with our attorneys, I said,
the attorney would say, how do you want to structure this? And I'd say, well, what would the investor want to see in here? How would I feel based on how I'm answering this question if I was the investor? So putting the investor in front of our needs made it very simple, because when they look at things, they go, oh, this feels good. This is the right thing. And I'm like, we have 3 rules, Vinny. Do the right thing, do the best you can, and show people you care. And doing the right thing always, it doesn't matter how much it costs, because the price is bigger if you do the wrong thing always.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous, Damion. What you're just saying is so true to the heart, with me and my mission, my motto in life, which is so true that, investors, I say 4 things in my companies is that investors are king. They are gold, actually. Residents are gold. We never say tenants, because these are residents in beautiful communities that we built, and the third one are my team members, who are my face. 135 people at the top of the ladder. I had 135 full-time people in my team. And then again, the other one are the vendors. We are giving so much livelihood to all the vendors and their families. They are gold. And then we come, the 5th, we are at the bottom, my family and everybody, we get the byproduct of everything we do. So if we have that in our mind, it will take care of so many things. And, a lot of us will be in a better place. Like you said, if we are looking for money, and money chases away. I've seen that happen in my life. I'm sure you have, and others people have. The more you chase something with wrong intentions, it goes farther and farther and farther. Isn't it true? Yeah.
That is true. And I think the question that comes up, people ask, how can I get money? And I say, maybe you're asking the wrong question. What if you ask, how can I help more people? And ask, what do they want? There's years ago I heard this, that there's a simple formula for becoming a billionaire, and it's figure out what they want, go get it, and then give it to them. And that's what we did with the eQRP. We just said, okay, what do they want? People don't want to be on this roller coaster. They want to have control. They wanted to say, okay, when I'm 60 or 70, it's predictable. And it's not just some chance, and people not going to take advantage of me. I actually have control. How do I do that? Well, they weren't even really getting to the how, they were just stuck. And so starting the conversation with, what would your life look like if you had it by design? It's really fascinating. People go, well, I wouldn't be nervous when I looked at the news every day to see if my wealth had increased or decreased. I would just know that it was coming. Huge difference.
Yeah. It's a whole different, we could talk about mindset, and everything, because we get so stymied and so much bothered by all the negative that goes into our mind on a daily basis. And, it's just, you're right. We need to put the shield. I always say the shield around us to what can penetrate, like the sun rays. We want them to penetrate, right, to our body, give us vitamin D. But then these negative thoughts, these unsure things, where I am today, if I had let the negatives fall into myself, when my family didn't believe in me, nobody believed in me, that Vinny could be, into syndication world, like, grace of God I am. But the thing is, those negative feelings can put you down. They can wipe you out, but you got to be just totally focused on the purpose. And like we are just discussing today, helping people.
It's the thing that I think messes a lot of people up is they're in a box of crabs. And when I say crabs, these are the people that are around you. And if you actually look at a real box of crabs, you go to Maryland, you see box of crabs, those crabs never get out, because one crab always says, no, don't get out. And it's really hard. And back in 20 years ago plus, when I started, everybody thought I was crazy. They were all the crabs. And so what did I do? I put headphones in with a cassette tape back then, burned Jim Rohn out of my Walkman. And it was,
I love him.
Right. And that was, I was surrounding myself with people. And so people said, oh, Damion, you don't have any fun. Oh, you're so dull. You're always studying. And what happened is I made a decision. Who was going to be the influencers? It wasn't going to be the news. It wasn't going to be people that were stuck in their lives. It was going to be people that inspired, that were actually doing something. And we can all choose that. We've got to be willing to fight for our future, and sometimes be willing to cut loose people that are not wanting to fight for our future with us. And it opens space for people like you to enter into our lives, where we go, wow, where did this guy come from? You know where you came from? An opening that we created because we got rid of something that was not serving, that was toxic. And it's a choice that everybody has.
Everybody has that, Damion. Everybody. You're so right. I mean, we hear that. I'm the CEO of my life. All right. If you're the CEO of your life, take charge of the life. I mean, that's the real deal.
Yeah.
If you're not happy what happened last week or a month back or 2 months or last year or 5 years back, you got to decide today how you're going to change it. So profoundly put. John, you had a question? Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've created a large amount of success now. And so you've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of roller coasters. So going back, back to before or pre-2008, what would you tell yourself with everything that you know now? So what advice would you give yourself for someone that's just starting out with everything you know now?
There's two things that I recommend every single person start with. And I do this every time I have a company or a venture. It's making sure that there's somebody that's wiser, balder, grayer than you, that you're paying to give you feedback. So the mentor, always have a mentor, because if you think you're smart enough to be the smartest, you got a problem. Because there's always people that like, even guys like Bill Gates have mentors named Warren Buffett. Like, we always need that. And the other one is make sure you know what your numbers are from day one. Have somebody giving you feedback. Even if you're an accountant, have somebody else giving you your stuff so that it's there rhythmically. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, an investor, a business owner, your job is not to be the accountant, but it is for sure to have the numbers, because the numbers don't lie and they give you a roadmap and they give you feedback. So those two things I messed up, and I will never mess those up again. They are critical for everybody.
Damion, that's amazing. What you just mentioned, financial, I know a lot of people hate math. They don't like numbers, but you hit the nail on the head. If you look at a lot of CEOs in the company and all that, many of them come from financial background, because it's so important to look at the numbers, good, bad, the ugly, actually, and then move the numbers in the right direction. That's so important. And then, what you just said also is the law of averages. I was just thinking about my career has been in sales, in marketing, in motivation, things like that. But there is always that, you got to give chance. You got to give your life a chance. If I say that way, you never hit the successes every single time. You got to look at even the prospects. We talk about investors in our business, right? Real estate. And I hate when a lot of my students say, oh, I only saw one person in the last 15 days. Okay, hold on. If you only saw one person, how could you expect to close 100% of that? Law of average will only work in our favor if we are saying 2 a week or 3 a week or 4 a week, so that out of 10 or 15, maybe one will be the one who will go forward, with, investing with us. Same thing is with the brokers, I mean, oh, I just talked to so-and-so. I just talked to so-and-so. All right, what else? How many properties did you get? How many off market? So I think it's all, our business is such, it's an everyday thing. Somebody else says, said that it's like shaving. You got to shave every day. Well, no, I love your beard, by the way, with the COVID happening and everything. But the thing is, we got to have the success principles every day. We just cannot let, things go by the wayside. And it's the time what we are going right now. I hope that people will grow out of it as much better people, because a lot of things we never had time to dig into and learn and everything. Hopefully we have using this time wisely, right?
It's a great time for reimagining and reinventing our lives and thinking about, I noticed a lot of people are connecting more, even if it's with Zoom. Random people are calling me and emailing me and saying, hey, I was just thinking about you. And I'm going, wow, you've not contacted me in 7 years, but here you are. And it's, if we can use that momentum of connecting with people, one of the things, to your point about going out there and looking at more than one thing, really it's a numbers game. I mean, we've heard this, it's so lonely at the top because very few people do the work to get to the top. And what's the work? Taking action. And it's consistent action, not like one phone call or one property. It's over and over. And there's a great book called Mastery by one of my mentors named George Leonard. He's a martial artist like me. And he talks about the plateau. And the plateau is where you feel like you're just doing the same thing. In martial arts, you do the same thing for years sometimes. nothing happens. And then one day you pop and you go, oh my gosh, I get it. And it feels different. It's the same thing with investing. You might look at hundreds of properties and you're like, nope, 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 nope. And then one day, boom, it happens. And then all of a sudden momentum starts to happen. So you have to be willing to commit to the mastery. And if you do that, it's inevitable.
So profound, so profoundly put. Let me talk to you about your background, right? You know, right there. Tell us more about black belts, and so proud, you know, what you have accomplished. And tell me more about your family, if you would.
Well, you know, it's one of the things that it's funny when I hear people say, I want a black belt, and that sounds cool. And I go, yeah. And they go, how long does it take? And I said, about 15 minutes. Go to Dick's Sporting Goods and go buy a black belt. It's about $10. And I always laugh and I go, a black belt only represents a commitment to being a student. That's all it is. And I've got 4. It just means I'm a really good student. And sometimes I'm a really bad student, but I'm a consistent student. And it's the whole point of martial arts for me was to learn how to become more present. And ultimately it evolved into developing Yokido, which is my own martial art, a fusion of Aikido and yoga and Reiki. And it's a process of finding yourself. There's conflict everywhere. And the question is, can you take the conflict, go into a relationship, relax the tension, and then heal the conflict? And that's what Yokido is. And that's really who I am. So martial arts just becomes a version of you when you do it long enough.
Awesome. Awesome. My gosh, I'm so enthused. I'm so inspired by you. I'm telling you. Tell me a day in Damien's life. Could you kind of take us through a typical or a great day? I'm sure every day is a great day.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting is I think we really define our lives. In the middle of this, we either define it or it's default. I say that a lot. And about 2 months ago, I made a decision in a moment to move my environment, because I believe there's something called a peak life. And the first thing is the people, and then there's the environment and the experiences. And I was looking at my environment and I was hearing there was more and more crime. There were people that were shooting in my neighborhood. And I thought, and I didn't live in a bad neighborhood, but I thought, okay, what's wrong here? I'm literally in the wrong environment. So I got up and moved. And I moved to nature. And I think there's a big shift where people are realizing they can live anywhere. So why would they live in places that are toxic? So my normal day now is every single day I get up and I have some lemon, which is interesting. It's a very
lemon and
detox.
Honey or lemon.
Yeah. And then I go on a hike and I meditate out on the red rocks. And then I come back and I ask the question, how can I serve more people today? And it's just, I wish there was 100 hours a day, because there's always stuff that I'm doing and it's not busy work. It's incredibly important work for somebody. And I just keep figuring that out. So my days, they go by. Like sometimes I realize I've been sitting still for like 4 or 5 hours. There's something valuable, like there's a couple places in the dojo when I'm teaching and when I'm in this flow where time goes away. And I hope everybody finds that space. I can tell you go into that space because you're pure joy with your students. Time just kind of goes away because you're so in it. And we all want that. And so when we find it, my suggestion is do more of it. Get lost in the thing that you love. And I love what I do. I love my team. I love my people, my partners, and the mission. And so I just fall in love until I fall asleep. I mean, that's kind of how my day goes.
Love it. I totally love it. You know, you mentioned in the interview work, four-letter word, work. We could change that to enjoy, which is, of course, ENJOY. That's 5-letter word, right? Is that right? Or you just said love. I think that's a huge part right there, you know, to have the word love. Because if we can just share and we look at everything and just say that, you know, how can I convert this, you know, mundane work into a lot more worthwhile work, right? Worthwhile for the people I serve. How can I do it better and so forth, and enjoy the process? You're so right about it, Damion, you know, and I say that, you know, all the time. I'm 67, I'll be 68 in a couple of months. And I have so much passion to really live my life for next 20, 30 years right now. And I want to make a big, humongous difference in the lives of just like you and millions of people. And it's really fortunate that, you know, we are in that spectrum. And again, we were not there. I mean, if you look at it, right, I didn't ask you about your humble beginnings or where did you grow up, by the way? I should have asked you before. I apologize. But tell us a little bit more about upbringing. I'm kind of bringing you in the loop now.
It's kind of funny because I grew up in Alaska, which is
Oh, yeah.
like the place that everybody says it's on their bucket list to go up to Alaska. And
Yep.
when I grew up there, thinking it was normal to have sun 22 hours a day in the summer and watch the sun set for 60 straight days and no sun in the winter. And when I left there, really crazy. My last job in Alaska before I moved to the rest of the civilization was working in the Arctic Circle in an oil field. And I was literally dodging polar bears. I had to take the trash out. And if the polar bears were there, they would eat you. They eat anything that moves. So I'm dodging polar bears. And when I left, it was 80 below zero. And I left and got to Arizona and it was 70 degrees above. And talk about a shock. It's 150 degrees. Unless you go to Mars, you don't have that kind of swing on Earth.
Yes.
And it was a big shift because I came from a place like beyond humble beginnings. I mean, I was told as a kid, we don't have any money. How are we supposed to even pay for food? We don't have enough money to pay for the house payment. And that was the messaging I got. So it just frustrated me. There wasn't abundance in my world. And it's interesting, Vinny, watching you over the years. I looked at you in the beginning and I remember thinking, how can somebody be this happy? Like it's like smiles like this, because we were so bred and born into skepticism and into negativity. And I thought something's wrong here. Like, is this guy real? And I remember and just being around you and I was like, wow. And you're inspiring because you're so authentic. And it's such it's like a contradiction to our system saying everything is bad. The sky is falling. And I just love what you exude. And so thank you for being you. I mean, I just want to say that. Thank you for being you.
I appreciate that. I really totally appreciate that. I'm very similar to yours. We live in 1-bedroom apartment, 6 siblings and mom and dad. So it's been, it really teaches us very special foundation we all put in, right? And we believe when we are growing up, we'll want to become somebody. And then those people who, figure out a way, I guess, and like iceberg, right? You mentioned about Alaskan cruise. We had Alaskan cruise this year. We had to cancel it because of whatever. But, the tip of the iceberg, right? How true that people always look at the successes. But if they really look underneath the water level, that's where they will see all the gumption, the rejections, the negativism, and what you and I and all successful people have to go through,
100% of the time. There's not an exception. I think a lot of people would like to hack it. And as much as I really enjoy Tim Ferriss's books and everything, there is no 4-hour hack to a fulfilling life. Like you have to go through underneath the water, like you're talking about with the iceberg. There's a lot of scar tissue. It's because we've gone through stuff, and there's a belief that this is part of the process, and it could hurt. And you know what? We're able to deal with it, and it's not going to kill us. And I think we're so afraid that there's like a monster or a bear there was a polar bear that could eat me, but beyond, if you're not in Alaska, you're unlikely to have a polar bear come out of the woods and eat you if you make a mistake. But our reptilian brain thinks that there might be something rustling in the bushes. It's called a mistake because we're trained not to do it, and it might kill us. The truth is, it makes you stronger and wealthier. It's the opposite.
I'm totally with you. I mean, the thing is living life with no regret. I call it actually on many times or many years. I had a very nice plaque made up. Live life with no regrets, because see, this life is only very precious life. This is the only one we know. I don't know. I believe in reincarnation. Maybe I don't think I'll be Vinny again, but whatever. But the thing is, what I have right now, let's make the best of it, and I really believe that everybody can change. Like Tony Robbins says, state of mind and other things. It's only to find out where we have been going and why we want to change. It's that drastic leverage. And if we can just think, and I think spending time with ourselves is the best time we can ever spend. Actually, I feel that internal interrogation time, I call it, or having appointments with me, I call it. When people ask me certain time, are you busy? I'm many times talking to myself and preparing things so that I can be better at the things that I want to accomplish. So, share with us some tools that you use. I know this is a digital world, and, please share with us some good nuggets, and then also how people can reach you.
Well, something that you touched on, and it's probably the thing that drives the tools, and I think it's really important. You mentioned the word regret. And that was the driving force. And it's interesting because I look at people, and sometimes people inspire us and sometimes they're an example. So the tools I look at mostly are people. And it's not just necessarily something technological. I look at people as either an example to model or a warning, and they can be equally as important. And the last time I had a conversation with my father before he passed away, we had this conversation where he looked at me and he said, there were so many things that I wanted to do. And that was regret. It was tattooed on my soul. And I remember going, oh my gosh, because he didn't have any more time. There was no time to make a choice to do what he wanted with his life. And so that is the greatest tool ever, the fear of regret. So what do I use? I use it as a force to ask myself, what am I afraid of? Or what is the thing? What's that one thing? Like Gary Keller's book, what's the one thing that I'm going to go do today that matters the most? Because at the end of my life, the last thing I want to do is go, man, I wish I woulda, I shoulda, coulda. Instead, I'm going to look at it and go, wow, that was spectacular. And I left it all out there. Like I did it. We all have that choice every day. And it doesn't matter what we're doing. Whatever you're going to do, be great at it and go all out. And I always say to people, if you're stuck, go book something in your life that matters. Go book it, put it on the calendar, put non-refundable deposit on something, go hire a mentor, go book a trip, whatever it is that's going to move the needle, because the worst case is meeting the man that you could have been. And it's called regret. Like at the end of your life, that's hell on earth. That is a terrible experience. And so I'm constantly evolving. And I think a lot of the tools are take them or leave them. It's like a book. Take what you like. Bruce Lee said this, take the good stuff and throw away the stuff that doesn't matter to you, because it's all unique as we are. So I'm constantly looking at things, and most of the stuff, honestly, is noise. There's so many things that are trying to capture our attention. And what we need to do is be willing to say no, because the difference between success and super success is that super successful people say no to almost everything. They have appointments with themselves like you're talking about. It's brilliant. Instead of saying yes, 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 like Jim Carrey and Yes Men, how about no, 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 no? So you have space for things that actually matter. That's a tool I use. It's called the word no.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think if anybody, all these people in your circle and mine, if when they're listening to this one, I hope if we can really learn so many great nuggets, Damion, you have shared in this podcast. I'm so appreciative of you. And learn to say no. I think that's the best thing we can really do, because if we keep on becoming a people pleaser, it's not going to help them and us either. You got to really look at what's important in your life and what's important in their life. If they are always coming to you with negative, that's even making our job hard. It really is. You're like putting the monkey back. I remember the word, hey, don't let them put their monkey on your shoulder. Put it right back on their shoulder.
Give it back. Just give it back.
Give it back. No, that's great. Please tell us, Damion, how can all great people reach you? And I'm so, so proud of your success. And I wish you the very best in the world and everything you're accomplishing, and anything I can do and my teams can do, I'm here for you. So how can they reach you?
I appreciate that. And first off, thank you so much again for having me here and being able to share things and maybe inspire or give somebody a little bit of hope. I often say that hope isn't a strategy, that smoking a bunch of hopium is a dumb strategy. And at the same time, there's a general optimism that I think is important. And one of it is just understanding that there are things out there that can change your life if you have the right information. So it may be for you, it may be for somebody else, but most people's money, and money, let's just be honest, money drives us. It makes us crazy. It scares us. It excites us. And most of our money, unfortunately or unfortunately, is in retirement accounts. And so understanding the options, and that's what the eQRP is. It's an option. So what I would encourage everybody to do, connect with me by learning more about what the work I'm doing. And it's either for you or for somebody else, share it. Because most people have this, they have retirement money and they have no idea what to do other than give it to somebody and hope it works. So to get information about that, I want everybody just to grab your phone and text the word eQRP to 72,000. And I'm going to send you, it's a 15-page summary of the book. And if you go, this is cool, I want more, awesome. Text me back and say, please send me the book and I'll FedEx a book to you. So just real simple, eQRP to 72,000. And then share the information, because it's like love. It's when you give love, it doesn't take it away from you, it expands it. Same thing with information. you expand people's knowledge and their power and the freedom that's out there, and that does the world a good. So please share this. Please share the information with other people, and it's a good way to love on them at the same time.
For sure. And we put it in the show notes also below. And please share this episode and comment and reach out to Damion, reach out to us. And I really, really want to thank you, Damion, for being on the show. Again, this is Syndication Made Live, easy, live, whatever. I know Alicia says sometimes it's just my quest to give to the universe, the sequel of the book, we call it Syndication Made Easy. It's the live podcast that I've been doing now for a few months, and I think I enjoy it. I do most of the time myself, but then I started bringing now one guest a month and things like that. So I hope you like that. And thank you, Damion. I really am in debt to you, buddy. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to listen to Mr. Smiles next week with more golden nuggets and top-notch coaching tips. You can reach him by going to vinneychopra.com or texting the word syndication to 474747. Be sure to like, comment, and share to show everyone how Mr. Smiles has brought your apartment syndication business